Welcome to Old Guys Gentlemen's Flex Fountain Pens, episode number 92. This is going to be a little story of how my pen collection habits are changing and why they're changing. I have been collecting pens now for 4 years or so. I really dove headfirst into it. I still have about 50 some pens. I think I've had close to 100 pens in total. It was all about getting flex pens, and almost all of it was vintage. What I'm slowly getting down to is the pens I collect I like to use, and I like to kind of use them in a rotation. They're almost all flex pens, and I was doing a lot of long journal writing every day. It was kind of tedious, took a lot of time, and I wasn't that regular about it. I got this Hobonichi 5-year journal, and it's pretty cool, and I've been keeping up with it all of this year. I hardly miss any days. But the problem is, look how small those lines are. You can't really do a lot of flexing on this page because, you know, I'm basically writing between these two lines. So each one of these is a line of text for me. So the goal here was to find a pen that had a very fine point. 3776 Century pen with an ultra extra fine nib. And so this pen I use every day on here. This pen is not really a collectible. It's a TWSBI Eco. What I use this one for is, well, I originally got it because I was trying to learn Arabic for a vacation that we were doing to Morocco. The cool part about this pen was that you could, you know, write really fine lines and fatter lines and fatter still and most fat. It was easy to do letters that go from thin to fat, and at least in Arabic, and now I'm trying to learn Hebrew, when you do a flex pen, you get your wider lines on a downstroke, but a lot of times it's the cross strokes that require the thicker line, and so flex pens didn't make a lot of sense to me, but this one did. Now this did not come, what came with the TWSBI. What I did though is I had them grind this to an architect nib, and that allows you to do something like this. It's quite an enjoyable nib to write with. You can really write pretty fine stuff, or you know, fairly bold stuff. That's pretty dramatic. So this one I use every day because I'm trying to learn Hebrew, and I find that for writing checks or addressing envelopes, because I have permanent ink in here, then I tend to use this more for all of that. There's one other use that I use my pens for in my business, Tiltwell, where I make these fine products to save you ink or put your pens on. It's an Etsy store. Just search for Tiltwell. I usually like to write thank you notes to people who buy my products, and I like to show off what a flex pen could do. And this one comes in real handy. This is one of my more expensive pens, but along the way I just really kind of fell in love with Urushi, and in particular Rodin Urushi. This one's from Wancher. It's one of their dream pens. And then what I do is I send the pen out with a 14 karat gold nib, and these guys don't sell that, so I had to buy a separate nib, and I think this was from Carolina Pen Company. But I find it better to go to one of my more established, like MikeAtWork.com. At big case, I have him make this a flex nib, and so on my notes, for instance, if I want to do thank you, I can get kind of fancy with it, and I enjoy that. And that happens almost every day. where I'm writing it with this and it's real pretty. But these kind of pens were kind of the downfall of my collection. I think I said before, I don't like having pens and not using them. I used to rotate through all of them, but now I only use pretty much these pens. So what happened with my collection? Well, I started with getting a lot of different models, all of them flex nibs, some relatively inexpensive and I'd fix up. I had a lot of fun with those and slowly started to figure out what I really like are pens with flex, but also ones that are really appealing. So then I started getting off into niche areas. These are maybe Todd Swan lizard skins that I collected over a few years. They're not as enjoyable to write with on flex, and they're also smaller. And because they're so fragile, I tend to leave them at home. Oh, I forgot. There's one other pen I carry. When I need a pen in a hurry, this is always in my pocket. A Kaweco. So these pretty much sit in a cabinet and really don't get used. And then I started discovering these guys. So these guys usually sit in actually a nutsack. It's when we're traveling or going to a coffee shop or something where I want to be able to write in this. I need to carry a pen with me. For this, I'll still use something like this, but I used to carry the bigger book. So then these would make the trip with me. There's no flex to them, but they're just incredibly handy and really pretty. I found this one in Chicago. This one at the San Francisco Pen Show a few years ago. It was at Tassia, Autumn, something or other. Very pretty, and again with these, I sent them out to a Nibmeister to make them flex. But now I got the problem that these guys are probably 15 times more cost of these guys. So I used to do pen reviews on my pens about every other week because with the budget I have, I could afford pens to do that. But now I spend my wads, so to speak, and then I have to save up money before I buy the next one. And the next one might be something like this, which is a Mont Blanc that has been sent out to a place in Japan to have urushi done on it. And between the $700 some Mont Blanc and the $450 urushi and a couple $100 adjustment. Well, this one, the nib didn't have to be adjusted because it came as a nice flex pen from Mont Blanc. And then there's also the waiting time. I was able to get the Mont Blanc in a hurry, but then to send it out to Japan and back again and to wait to be on the queue before I could send it out was probably like a 6-month thing. In the end, I don't really use these that much because I've ended up homing in on a really favorite one, which is this one. So that's a problem in that I'm not writing with them every day, so I kind of fell out of love with some of the stuff. I still like these guys. I like to bring them out and look at them. I think I think in the future when I can travel, I'll bring like a pen case with me and kind of show it off to my friends, or if I go to a pen show to other, well, I do have one really good. This one I'll never sell. It's a Vacuumatic, I think it's a Major, and I wanted a flex nib, which are almost impossible to find, but I found a Canadian Vacuumatic, which did have a nice flex to it, and so that ended up going on this pen. So, just showing off this pen. But I don't use this that much. So I don't know what I'm gonna do. I think these guys might go up for sale, and maybe some or many of these guys. And this is just a sampling. I have a bunch more in the case because I want to be able to have more of these guys. But in the end, unless I find another pen that just looks cooler than this, I'll end up with these 3 pens and this in my pocket. So I think that's it. That's where I'm at with my my pen collecting right now. Thanks for watching. Hope somewhere in this video you got some value out of it. Until next time, thanks.